Hi, this is my bookish Christmas gift guide. This year I decided to do a bookish one and a non-bookish one, and as you might be able to tell, this is the bookish one. I'm gonna recommend a bunch of different books. I've got some graphic novels, I've got some YA, I've got some literary fiction, and hopefully some of these books would make a great present for someone in your life or for yourself. I'm gonna start off with two YA ones. First of all, there is Lorelei by Laura Dockrell. Whenever I think of books that would make good Christmas gifts, I try and look at obviously the content, but also the outside, because someone will be unwrapping it. This is one of the most gorgeous covers I've ever seen. This is set in Hastings. It is about a mermaid princess who gets washed up on shore, no longer a mermaid, and about what happens when the pirates that are after her come visit Hastings. It's a really nice blend of the sort of fantasy world and the real world. Also, one of the perspectives that this story is told from is the ocean, which is probably my favorite. Number two is The Square Root of Summer by Harriet Ruder Hapgood. I read this quite a while ago, really enjoyed it. If you like time travel and wormholes and bits of German in between and a bit of romance and a bit of grief, then this is a really good YA choice. Also, again, really nice cover to gift to someone. Next, continuing with the fun, The Improbability of Love, which I also read this year. This is nominated for the Bailey's Prize. It is about an old painting that has sort of gotten lost over time. People don't know that this painting is worth so much money. It accidentally ends up in the hands of a heartbroken girl who's not doing too well with her life and ends up being a chef for a really rich family, and it really delves into the art world, but sort of the most extravagant, ridiculous side of it. And I think this might be a good gift to give to someone if you're not entirely sure about their reading habits. Okay, next we're going into slightly sad territory, but I think sometimes a book that can make you experience sadness and grief can just really stick with you for a long time. First of all, there's Grief is the Thing with Feathers by Max Porter, which is poetry. So this is about a father and two boys, and they've just lost their mother, and they're trying to deal with their grief, and then one day a crow shows up. It is quite thin, so again, this is a good one for if you know someone likes maybe sort of the more literary side, but you don't want to commit them to like a 600-page book. Then The Film for a Monster Calls comes out next year, so now is the right moment to give it to someone for Christmas so they can read it before the film comes out. Again, this is a really sad story, but it is beautifully illustrated, and especially this edition makes for a fantastic gift, and also quite appropriate for like a slightly younger reader. Next up, I have three graphic novels. Obviously, they couldn't be missing for my Christmas gift guide. Again, if people aren't huge readers or if they want to get more into graphic novels, all of these would work perfectly. This is The Gigantic Beard That Was Evil by Stephen Collins. It's about a man who lives on an island where everything is just kind of normal every day, and then one day his beard starts growing and it will not stop. It's about how he and the people on the island learn to deal with it. Interestingly, there's basically almost no text in this. Next, there is Killing and Dying by Adrian Tomine. This edition is gorgeous, and I think obviously it would make for a really nice gift. Look at that. I also read this year. It has 6 stories in it. It has more of a sort of observant tone, I guess, and I think it would make for a very interesting gift for an adult who's never read any graphic novels before. And then finally, my fave, Isabel Greenberg has a new book out. As you guys might know, The Encyclopedia of Early Earth is my favorite graphic novel ever, and this is The 100 Nights of Hero. It is extremely gorgeous. It is witty as always. If someone really likes history or myths and legends or folk tales, then this is perfect. This is obviously a slightly pricier, sort of bigger gift, but imagine unwrapping this. Okay, the last 3 ones are fiction novels. So first of all, I have The Girls by Emma Cline. This is one that you have probably heard loads about this year. I feel like this crosses over between YA and adult. There's some pretty violent graphic stuff in here, so keep that in mind when you're giving this as a gift. It sort of flashes back to the 60s where the main character sort of accidentally ended up being part of this cult, or sort of observing them and getting entwined into this group. I think this is a really good gift if you know that that person likes something a little bit different and a little bit edgy. Then there is one of my favorite discoveries of the year, Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winterson. This is, again, like quite dark and quite funny. It's about a girl called Jeanette who's adopted by this woman who's an evangelical Christian, and she basically raises her to be a missionary. It feels like such a caricature. One of my favorite scenes in this is when they can hear noise coming from the neighbors and the mom puts a glass on the wall and she's like, they're fornicating on a Sunday. Also, this story covers Jeanette discovering and coming to terms with that she's a lesbian, which you can only imagine how that goes over. This is perfect for a good laugh, but also some food for thought. And then finally there's Hag-Seed by Margaret Atwood, which, as you can see, I'm reading right now. This is one of the Hogarth Shakespeare series. It is based on The Tempest. A lot of the books that I mentioned in this video are quite new, so hopefully the person that you're buying it for won't have them yet. And this is a revenge plot set in a prison. That's kind of all I want to say about it, but it is a fantastic read. Alright, so there's my selection of books that I think would make for great gifts. Let me know if you're planning on buying any of these as a gift in the comments below, and I hope you guys have a great Christmas with lots of bookish presents. Doei!